Welcome back, everyone. Attorney General Mike DeWine was in town this past week, just a day after the news of the horror in Cleveland broke. 3 girls held in captivity for over a decade, allegedly at the hands of Ariel Castro. DeWine on that story, stiffer sentences for repeat offenders who commit gun crimes, and the office's push to shut down internet cafes. But we begin with the story in Cleveland.
Well, it's an unbelievable story for all the reasons that you have reported. 10 years right in the neighborhood, and you just think what these poor women went through during that time. You've got a 6-year-old who was born apparently there. So they, it's going to be tough for them to make a transition, but it's so great. I mean, it's great news. I mean, it's wonderful news, but it's a really tragic situation.
Prosecution has just begun. You began your career as a prosecutor.
I did. I started as a county prosecuting attorney.
Right. And you take a look at this now as the state's top cop, if you will. And there's some criticism that how could no one have seen this coming? Now we're starting to see trickles of information. Well, maybe there were clues, indeed, that something was going on. So, I mean, your impressions?
Well, there are always clues when you look back. And there's some people have been critical of the police, and I'm not critical of the police. I think we have to look at all the facts. What did they know at the time? What I want to point out to people, though, is that right today, if you go on the OhioAttorneyGeneral.gov, which is our webpage, we have hundreds and hundreds, close to 700 children who are missing, whose pictures are on our webpage, and we really need the public's help. Let's don't fixate on this tragedy. This has come out good, but we got 700 other kids out there who are missing, and frankly, we need the public's help.
And this is part and parcel of human trafficking as well, which we've heard so much about in Ohio, and specifically Northwest Ohio as well.
You're going to have human trafficking any place where you've got a lot of highways coming together. So whether it's Toledo, whether it's Columbus or Cincinnati, Cleveland, wherever. Human trafficking is everywhere, and it takes many, many forms. One form it takes is when you have runaway kids. We had over 7,000 kids last year in Ohio who at one time or the other reported as being runaways. Most of them came back. Most of them were found. But there are some who may end up in a city that they're not familiar with. They don't have anybody there. They get off the bus, and there's someone waiting for them. And tragically, that person that's waiting for them is a person who wants to sexually exploit them, who wants to sell them, human trafficking. And that's, that happens.
Yeah, and of course, this was not the case in Cleveland. This was an abduction, kidnapping, and holding three teenage girls who are now women captive for a decade. I want to get to what appears on the surface to have been a kind of a crusade from the Attorney General's office on internet cafes. Looking to shut them down individually now. We talked this past week about, I believe, one in Van Wert, 2 more in Northwest Ohio. So you're at the point now where they're still legal as it stands to operate, but some are being shut down individually.
Well, of course, I would dispute that. We think now with the court decision that has come out, it's abundantly clear that they're all illegal.
Every single one of them?
Yeah, they're all illegal.
Nobody grandfathered in?
No, they're all illegal. They're illegal, frankly, because it's gambling. Now, there's some people who would have you believe that they're sort of like what McDonald's does. When you go and buy a Big Mac and you get a scratch-off card, and you have an opportunity to win a sweepstakes. And that's the argument. But no one goes into a McDonald's and buys 50 Big Macs and put them in the trash and then just uses the scratch-off cards. The real reason people are going in is not to get internet time or telephone time. The real reason they're going in is to gamble. And we have a court decision out of Cuyahoga County which clearly says that they're gambling. What we're asking the legislature to do, though, is to make it, frankly, easier for law enforcement and make it much simpler to enforce the law. What we have to do now on each one of these is we have to send agents in, they have to gamble, they have to observe. We do it a couple of times, then we have to send an agent back in with a search warrant, then we have to interview everybody there, and what we have to prove in court is it's gambling. And what we have to have people say is I went there to gamble. I didn't go there to you know, buy internet time. And so you can prove these cases, but quite candidly, law enforcement has better things to do.
Yeah. Tedious, laborious process.
It's tedious, it's slow, it's laborious, and if the legislature will change the law, make it easy for us, law enforcement can focus on murders and rapes and child abductions and all the things that, you know, dominate law enforcement's time.
One state senator says, hey, let's let the voters decide. Where's your stance on that? Is it your job to go shut these down?
Well, anybody can put this, you know, if they get enough signatures, they can put this on the ballot. But it seems to me, and that's fine, that's provided in our Constitution, and we can all vote for it. But it seems to me the legislature has a responsibility to make the laws, and we're asking them to do that. We presented them with evidence about what's going on in some of these places. You know, we've got hundreds of millions of dollars being gambled. There is no regulation. We have no way of determining where the money's going. We do know a lot of the money is going out of states, either going to New Jersey or to Texas. Some of it is going overseas. We know that there is some money laundering going on. We know that there are convicted felons who are running some of these places. Now, not all of them. Some of them are, I'm sure, fine people. But all that's going on.
These are not state-sanctioned casinos that are being operated here.
No, and you know, the interesting thing is there's more slot machines in these places than there are in all the casinos in the state. Huh? Yeah.
We're going to go topic to topic here. You come out with sponsoring this bill that, or at least you would like to see this legislation that those who commit crimes with guns, I believe it's called the Violent Career Criminal Act. You want to see longer sentences. Is there opposition to that? Have you met any opposition so far on that?
Well, here's what we started to do. We started looking at this about a year and a half ago after I became Attorney General. We got a professor at Ohio State, a researcher, to go back clear to 1974 to see who's committing these violent crimes that's tearing up Toledo, tearing up Cincinnati, and our smaller communities too. And what we found, and we can prove statistically, is it's just a very small number of people. But they're people who commit crimes time after time after time. It's a revolving door. They go in prison, they come back out, and they commit a violent crime again. This bill is real simple. It says we're going to double the gun specifications, which means if you commit a crime with a gun, we're going to double that. It's up to as high as 7 additional years now. We take it to 14. The second thing we do is for anyone who has committed 2 separate violent offenses and been convicted of those, when they get out of prison for the second time and the judge has told them you cannot possess a gun, if we find them with a gun, it would be, and convict them, it will be 11 years in prison. These are people who are just tearing up our communities, and we have to go after them, and we have to deal with them.
This was the quote. Attorney General Mike DeWine. When we come back, take 3. Tom Troy, Skylar Meadows will join us. Talk about Toledo's mayoral race right after this.